Hola, mi gente. Joe Brito back with you at the Credit Card Connection. I'm so glad you can join me. Well, mi gente, normally when you come here to see me week after week, you see me give you my opinions and perspectives on credit cards, points, miles, etc. Great trips, crazy redemptions, things like that. But recently I had a conversation with a friend of mine, Juan Garcia, who's also a longtime subscriber. And the conversation was about something that was more important than the points and the miles and all the redemptions, which is credit card debt. Now, although it's great to go on YouTube and see, people going to the Maldives and going to Europe and staying at the Waldorf or the Ritz-Carlton for no money out of pocket and just using points and miles or traveling business class overseas, that's all great. But, it's not that simple to do. And if you don't know what you're doing and you're not careful, you can get in over your head real quick. So today you're going to see me bouncing up and down from my notes because, I always tell you I'm transparent here. I don't really do a script. I just talk, but I did take notes here and some points because even before I came to do this video today, as I was coming down the stairs to record, some more stuff popped into my head about this topic. So I'm hoping that what I discuss with you today resonates with you, lets you think about things before you actually pull the trigger on some stuff. So again, if you see me going up and down, I apologize, but I just want to make sure I give you everything that I thought about, my ideas, my opinions, and hopefully this will help you if you're in this position that I've been in and a lot of people have been in. So let's jump into it. So, as I said, you can go on YouTube and see people talk about how with their American Express Platinum card or their Capital One Venture X or their Chase Sapphire cards, they're able to travel, get upgrades, things of that nature. And that's great. That's what we do, right? However, as I spoke with Juan, the issue then becomes if you're not careful, if you don't know how to handle either a lot of cards or the amount you're putting on cards on spend to meet, bonus signups and things like that, because you want to make that luxury vacation come into fruition within this year. It's scary, guys, when you get into that kind of debt, when you find yourself in that position. So I went out, I did some research on the most popular techniques that are out there if you find yourself in those positions. I'm also going to tell you personal experiences. I've shared some of this during some of my lives, and it resonated with some people that were like, man, I thought I was the only one that had that issue. So what I want to let you know is that it's okay. Sometimes we're overwhelmed. Sometimes we're going to say like, man, I owe 4,000. I owe 6,000. How do I get out of this? How do I do that? And then you wonder, how did I get into it? And the reality is this, guys, and I literally on my notes here put what I went through, even in the last couple of years that I've been more savvy and know more about this credit card game that we call it, or just having a lot of credit cards. But sometimes things happen in life that kind of catches you off guard. And then you wonder, man, how do I get out of this hole? So I'll give you an example. Last year, the air conditioner in my home in Florida went out. That was a $10,000 expense I was not expecting. Then this year, I get a call from the landscaper saying that there's water coming out of the garage. Now I'm in Jersey, that's in Florida. And then I had to go have my friend go down there and we had to install a brand new water heater. That was another $1,500. They've increased the homeowners association fees from $250 to $425. These are all things that as they start adding up and you're like, wait a minute, I thought I had my finances under control. These are things you didn't expect. The prices at the stores, the prices at the supermarkets, the price of gas, whatever it is that throws you off your game. And even if you have the most incredible spreadsheet and you're a mathematician or you're an accountant, when things in life happen and you weren't expecting it, you have to still get to the next day. You still have to function. So the thing is, how do you do that? So a lot of people turn to their credit cards and they'll use their cards to say, okay, I can put my car insurance on this card. I can put, my homeowner's insurance on it. I can pay my property taxes. I have it all on a 0 annual fee card. So I have time. And then that's all well and good. But here's the thing. If you don't pay that 0 APR card off in that 1 year that they're giving you, or 15 months, whatever the case is, you're going to pay interest accumulated, and it's going to bang you over the head. And at the interest rates right now of an average of 25%, mi gente, that's something you don't want to deal with. You don't want to see it on statement. You want to make sure you can get out of that real quick. So there's a few things you can do. And actually, I have 3 of the best. And one is going to be kind of funny because I just told you how you can get yourself in debt with it. But now I'm going to show you how you can get yourself out of debt with it. So let's just jump into that right now. So the first thing, and people call them different things, but there's one called the avalanche method. And the avalanche method is that you look at all your credit cards and your statements, and then you see which ones have the highest interest rates attached to them. Okay. And here's why that's important. If you have a credit card that has a 19% interest rate with $1,000 on that card, and you have another one that's $1,000 with a 29% interest rate, you want to hit the one with the 29% interest rate first, because obviously you're paying more interest on that $1,000. So you're basically just throwing away money on interest, and the payment won't go down as quick. So you want to hit that one first. So people call that the avalanche method, because the avalanche method allows you to pay off the highest interest first, so that you save that interest and it becomes more of a payment towards the principal. And you're able to see then the light of day, hopefully at one point, where you've knocked it down enough that then you're really just hitting the principal and getting rid of that bill. So that's the avalanche method in a nutshell. Now you can go online and see how people really get into the weeds about it and the details about it. But in a nutshell, guys, that's what it is. Some people also, they just won't tackle, let's say, the one with the largest interest. They'll tackle the one with the largest amount. So if you have 4 credit cards and the largest amount on one of them is about 10,000, that's the one you want to hit. People would hit first if they want to go through that method. And why? Because they're saying, okay, since that's the biggest amount I owe right now, that also has to probably be the one that's collecting the most interest. So you see, there's a little bit of an overlap, whether you're trying to pay off the biggest interest or the biggest amount, kind of the same thing in theory, because you want to knock down the biggest one first. The second one is the snowball method. For me, this is one that I tell people they should do if they have multiple cards, nothing that's, let's say, out of pocket, like 10, 15, 20,000 on a bill on one of them. But let's say you have one with 1,500, one with 800, one with 400. Then you want to tackle the ones that are the lowest amount that you owe. Why? Right? You're like, wait, didn't you just say try to pay off the one with the highest? Yeah. But when you have multiple little ones, you see them more as a victory. So if I know that I owe 4 cards and one of them has a $300 balance on it, I want to hit that $300 one hard and get it over with. So now instead of owing 4 cards, I owe 3 cards. And that's a victory. You know, it's more mental in some cases than anything else, but that really is a victory. That means that you knocked one out, you put it to the side, and you're done with it. On to the next one. You tackle the next bill. If that's $1,000, you pay off that $1,000 as soon as you can, and so on. Okay, until you pay it off. Now, there is a third one, but before I get to the third one, I just want to bring up to you that for those of you that, let's say, got into debt, trying to mimic or copy what you see on YouTube or online or whatever, people doing these extravagant trips and vacations and opening multiple cards, and some of those subs are $8,000 to $10,000 to just meet that spend. And now you meet the spend, and then you're wondering, how am I going to get out of the hole? Guys, it's not worth it. Because for you to say that you went on a trip using points and miles, but you put yourself in a hole of $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, guys, that's a tough one to swallow, and it just doesn't make economic sense. I'd rather you have no bills, save the money on the side, and then take that trip that way than to say, yeah, I got this great redemption, but now I owe $20,000 because whatever you put towards those points and miles, you just negated all of that because of all the interest and everything else that you're paying over time. And then sometimes that rolls into penalty fees. Not only that, but the more balances, and believe it or not, guys, some people have the misconception that if you have a card with a high balance on a 0 APR card for the year, let's say you signed up and got the Wells Fargo autograph card and they gave you 15 months to pay off that debt, that still shows up as debt. And your score is going to take a hit. Your FICO score will take a hit because that's still an outstanding debt that you owe. So even though you're not paying interest on it technically for the 15 months, it still shows up as that you owe that debt. So don't fall into that lull of, okay, I'm not paying interest on it. Yeah, that's great, but it's still going to lower your score. So because I know certain people that have 3 and 4 cards with 0% interest on it, and it's a nightmare for them to get out of it. Okay. So the last one happens to be with trying to transfer your high interest balances on a statement or a credit card to one that has no interest for at least 12, 15, 18 months. A card like, I believe it's Bank of America, will offer you 21 months on a no interest card for you to transfer a balance over to. So you're getting almost 2 years of breather from interest. But again, it's not that you want to let it sit there or add to it. You want to have it there, not collecting interest, and knock it down. So you got to keep those things in mind, guys. You want to make sure that when you're in that situation, if you open up a 0 APR card, which is a great move, but for me, it's a better move if you have, let's say, outstanding debt of $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 on a credit card, getting 29%. Move that over to a 0% APR card, and then knock it down there because you could pay that off quicker, and you're not paying off just interest and then get to the principal, like I said. So why do I tell you all of these things? You're looking at a guy right now that back in 2013, I owed American Express. Over a 10-year span, I spent $276,000 on American Express from 2003 to 2013. Okay? Let that sink in. For 10 years, I spent almost enough to buy right now a small condo or whatever. Back then, that was more than what I paid for my house. Okay? And I remember in 2013, I still had a bill of $27,000 on the Gold Card. And what I was doing was to try to make ends meet, was moving it to pay over time. And then that was giving me more time, but the interest was accruing on that. Remember, a charge card, you're supposed to pay it at the end of the month. That was accruing, and it just became overwhelming. Add to the fact that I was out of work for basically almost 2 years, in and out because of multiple surgeries for my legs. And I wasn't able to earn the income that I was accustomed to earning, and I couldn't knock it down. So I had to shut everything down and consolidate. I went to a consolidation company, and I had to turn everything in, get one bill a month. I took a beating. My credit score went down to 579. 579. And I'm going to tell you right now, I stayed that way, literally, with just one card. I was able to keep one card. And the reason I kept the card was for travel. For my son, especially going to college, I had the JetBlue card. Then I added the United card when he was a sophomore in college. But that was 9 years later. It wasn't until December 2022 that I opened up my first new card after almost 10 years of not opening up any. And that was the American Express Platinum card. But that was because I learned from my mistakes. I learned that you cannot purchase something, because right now I have $250,000 available to me in credit over my personal cards and business cards that I've spoken to you on this channel about. I want to make sure that's there. That's great to say I have it. But you never want to say, oh, I have $100,000 of $250,000 that I've used. That's insane, guys. That's already getting to a mortgage on a house, okay? So I say all of this to tell you a few things. And I know I might be rambling, but it's just, it really is personal for me. I've been in that hole. It was a big hole to get out of. So I tell you, you can have these cards at your disposal. You might be able to take that trip of a lifetime and enjoy it, well deserved. But remember, when you come back from that trip, you still got those bills to contend with. Because even if you take a trip and use points and miles for the hotel, for the Uber, for the car rental, whatever it is, you still have to eat, right? So you're going to spend money on food. You're going to spend money on excursions. That's coming out of pocket. Then when you come back, that statement is going to smack you over the head, and you still got to pay that bill. So you also want to make sure that you don't just do the things once you get everything settled and paid off and spiral back into that cycle of putting yourself back into debt. Don't buy the stuff that you want all the time. Buy the stuff that you need, preferably, right? And again, this is coming from a guy that is contrary to what a lot of people say. You should pay everything off at the end of the month. Yeah, in theory, that's the greatest thing to do, obviously. But sometimes, like it happened to me this past year alone, where I got bombarded with bills that I was not expecting. Okay? Think about that. Things that I was not expecting. I had to make a choice, and I had to put them on cards, and I put them on cards with the 0 APR so that it gave me time to pay them and knock them down. Am I always successful, guys? No. Okay? I'm not always successful. But at least I know now what the limits are. I know now what it felt like to not be able to sleep when I couldn't pay those bills. Not be able to sleep when I said, man, my credit score is, like my boy Sledge says, trash, trash, trash at 579. So, mi gente, do me a favor. By the end of the summer, September's only 2 weeks away. Go over your statements. See what you owe. If you want to choose the route of the avalanche method and hit the highest interest rate or the biggest amount first, do that. If you want to do the snowball method and bang out the little bills here and there and see them as victories, which is what I do, great. If you have one bill that you know the interest is going to hit again, let's say in October because your intro bonus time frame is finishing, get another card and transfer it to that, because you don't want to get that 29% APR. That's about the average now after that expires, because they give you, zero interest. They're going to make it up some way or another. So, mi gente, I thank you for listening to me today. I'm sorry that it wasn't more exciting. I'm sorry that it wasn't something that was like, wow, look where he went, or wow, he got that Mercedes for the price of a Mazda 3. But it's the reality, guys. And you know that I tell you all the time, I'm going to be straight up 100 with you, honest. And this is it. I've been there. I've done that. I don't want to do it again, but it's always a battle and a struggle. And if you have any questions, do me a favor. Leave it in the comments below. Hit me up on my email at thecreditcardconnection@gmail.com. I promise you I will get back to you, okay? I want to be able to just help you get out of that cycle. I want to help you use credit cards for what they're intended for, which is as a tool, and that they're supposed to work for you, not the other way around, which is what I felt like. I was working to pay off a card. And if you ask me what I spent it on 10 years ago or whatever, when I had that massive bill, I have no idea. One thing I can remember, I think I bought a Bose home surround system, and God knows where that is now. Okay? So it just shows you that what I thought was the greatest thing ever back then, I don't even know where that is now. So, mi gente, as always, you could be anywhere else, but you chose to be here, and I thank you for that. But more than anything else, I thank you for giving me the privilege of your time. Until next time, mi gente, take care.